Hey guys, welcome to MasterThatRiff 89. Today we're going to be looking at Welcome to the Jungle, the one that was voted last month. So what I'm going to do is, I've actually looked, I've gone through basically Slash's parts and Izzy's part. So what we'll do is we'll look through the Slash guitar part first, and we'll do Izzy's guitar part, just in case you wanted to kind of see what was going on with both kind of guitar parts. There's actually another kind of overdub going on as well, but I'll mainly look at those kind of two parts. First thing first, of course, we're half step down, so an E flat there, an A flat, D flat, and a G flat, and B flat, and then that high E flat at the top there. Okay, so this is a pretty iconic bit of opening guitar. It's the first song on Appetite for Destruction, so that's such a legendary album. It's kind of one of the first kind of riffs that a lot of people hear or have heard. And the actual recording of it, this kind of delay echo setting was actually something that was done in the studio after it was recorded. Mike Klink used a Roland SRV 2000 to do a lot of the reverb and delay in the album, like, you know, Sweet Child of Mine and all that sort of stuff. And there's actually a setting on that effects unit that gives you kind of an echo device or delay kind of setting, and that's what he used. So to try and emulate that, it can be quite tricky. What I did when I recorded the riff is I recorded the guitar and then used a delay plugin, and I set it up basically for dotted eighth notes, kind of repeats, and with just a kind of few repeats after. If you want a kind of delay setting in terms of milliseconds, I think it worked out about 446 milliseconds for the delay repeats. Because we've got a BPM of 101 here, we're wanting to get a nice kind of almost this kind of repeated 16th kind of feel to it. So this is what we're actually going to play for the first two bars. Without the delay, palm muting here, and I'm going to play like open B string and then play the G string twice. Okay, now picking wise, I've got this in the tab. You can do that with an up and two downstrokes. Yeah, what I did there is I did kind of the down, up, up, down, up, up, because I used kind of economy picking a little bit. But that one would basically be open B string, then G string twice. So it's okay. Then the next little section, what we're going to do is this. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking of little two groups of three notes. I'm playing 4 in the G string, then the open B string, the palm mute, and then 4 in the G string again. So that's my three notes. Then I'll just do that again. So you get basically the 6/16ths there. Okay, so those two bits together sound like this. Okay, now as I said, I've got the delay plugin set for dotted eighth notes at 101 BPM, which is about 446 milliseconds. What I've done with my little flashback is I've programmed it with a kind of dotted eighth setting, and I've got it repeating, so in a similar way, you know, kind of like that. So when I play this first bit, it kind of sounds like this. Then I have, yeah. I have to make sure I'm going 100 BPM there. So that's what gives you that kind of nice kind of echo effect. And once the actual riff gets started, we don't have any delay on there. Really what we're doing here is almost giving a delay-like effect just by the way we're picking the strings. And I'm guessing maybe in the studio when it was recorded that Mike Klink added that delay for the first kind of opening bar just to give that kind of repeated kind of da sensation when the actual riff kind of comes in. So what we're actually going to be playing here is really, it's a B pentatonic minor scale. That's really what we're doing, we're just coming down that. So what we're doing here is 4 and 2 in the G string, 4 and 2 in the D string, open D string, and then 2nd fret of the A string. Yeah. What makes it interesting is we've got a little pedal note of an open B string in there, all the way through. And the best way to think about it is little groups of 3 notes. So we're going to be doing like 4 in the G string, open B string, and then 4 in the G string again. So that's your 3 notes. Now, picking wise, Slash does this with a downstroke, then an upstroke, then a downstroke. So every little group of 3s, like down, up, down. Another way of playing it, probably the way I played it, would be down, up, up. A little bit of economy picking that way, but whatever kind of feels comfortable. Some people would say if you do your down, up, down, you're always doing your downstroke on the note and the scale. Yeah. So if we put all this together, I've got 4, 0, 4. Then I go to 2nd fret of that G string. Then I'm going to jump to 4 in the D string. So I've got a string skip there, so that can be quite tricky to get your accuracy out of there once you don't hit that G string. The underside of the 3rd finger should really control that G string there, just in case you do hit it. Then I've got 2nd fret of the D string, 2, then open B, and 2 again. Then the last 4 notes actually go. So I do open D string, open B string, then 2nd fret of the A string, and then open B string again. Okay. So together, slowly, it kind of goes like this. Okay. So this is a great riff for, again, working on this kind of picking accuracy, your alternate picking. Particularly if you're doing this down, up, down, kind of like gypsy players kind of do that. Okay. So when you put it together and repeat it, it has this kind of nice kind of faux delay effect. Yeah, and that's why it sounds really, really cool. So this is great, you don't need the delay pedal basically for this bit. So we do that for how many bars? I think it's about 6 bars basically. And then what happens is it changes up and we start kind of playing with it, the open B string. So we're playing the same notes, but we're going to alternate pick them and do 3 notes, or 3 picks in every note there. So it's going to go like this. And then there's a pair on the last 2 notes. So what you're doing there is you're doing your 4th fret G string 3 times, 2nd fret 3 times, 4 in the D 3 times, 2nd in the D 3 times. Then you hit the open D string twice, and then 2nd fret the A string twice. So it's the same rhythm, but it's just slightly different. You don't have that pedal note of the B string in there. Okay, and that we do for 3 bars basically. And then this is the big build up. And what we do here is we're going to play like a D power chord. So I've got my open D string, 2nd fret A string, G string, sorry, 2nd fret G string, and then 3rd fret the B string. Then I've got an A power chord, so I'm barring at the 2nd fret of there on the D on the G strings, open A strings up. So it's just a D and A power chord, you know. And then I've got a B power chord. And the way to think about it is building up. So it's all even 8s. So you've got a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. That's your kind of rhythm. That last one, you can give a bit of extra there just to kind of almost put a full stop on it. Okay, and then after that, big old rock slide, which is leading into basically the kind of main riff. Now for the main riff, Slash's parts all played with power chords on the E and A strings, and we kind of shifted, you could say the opening's kind of like B minor, we've shifted now kind of A minor, or kind of overall A-Dorian kind of vibe. And what I'm going to be playing here power chord wise is an A power chord, so it's 5 in the E string, just 7 on that A string there. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a F power chord, so 5 in the E string, just 7 on that A string there. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a G power chord, so we move that down 2 frets. Then a We've got an F sharp power chord in there. So just move that back one more fret. So you get the 2nd fret E and the 4th fret the A. So that's your 3 power chords. But what you have rhythmically is you're going to do this. That's your first bit. So you've got 2 8th notes there, so it's downstroke. And you go to the G power chord. And you go back up to the A power chord and do like a down up. So it's like down, 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 up. Okay? And then we end it, the second half of the bar going. So I'm doing a quick change from the A to the G. So it's a downstroke in the A, up in the G, then down on the F sharp. And then you have an open E string at the end of that. So you have this kind of bass that goes. Yeah. So putting that together, it goes like this. Okay. And there's a couple of little muting variations and things in there, but really that's your main riff. That's what you play for your 3 bars. And watch out for the kind of tempo of that. It can be quite easy to lose your synchronization. But just think of the bouncy kind of groove of it. Okay. And once we've done that, we've got this really, really cool A pentatonic minor, kind of bluesy fill. Yeah. So what I'm going up to is my A pentatonic minor. Classic box shape at the 5th position here, or the E shape if you want to think of the cage kind of way of thinking. And my first 4 notes, I've got a bend at the 7th fret on the G string there with the 3rd finger, and it's a pinch harmonic as well. So you're aiming for a harmonic way up there. So I'll do the pinch harmonic, up, then down, and there's a whole step actually. And then I play 5 on the G string there, and then 7 on the D string. Yeah. You might want to put a little pull off or something in there, but I think it's actually picked. Okay, so that's your kind of first 4 notes. Then you have this. Put a pinch harmonic then by mistake. So a typical little bluesy thing here. I'm playing 7/5 in the G, 7/5 in the D. But the 5 and the G I just give a slight little bluesy quarter note kind of micro bend there. Yeah. And what we're doing here is just coming down the scale. Next I'm going to do 7, 6, 5, 3 on the A string there. So I've got the little flat 5 blue note in there. So fingering wise I just do 3rd, 2nd, 1st and slide with the 1st finger. 7, 6, 5, 3. And in the last 4 notes you just do 5, 3, 5, 3 on the E string and then the A string. And then it gets back into the riff when the kind of singing starts. So slowly that little kind of fill goes like this. Yeah, and that's it. That's the kind of intro bit for the slash guitar part. So Izzy Stradlin's guitar part is actually this kind of solo guitar you can hear over the top. So as I said for Slash's part, really this opening kind of delay effect kind of main riff is basically B pentatonic minor, you know. So what we're doing here is we're playing our B pentatonic minor way up at the 7th position, you know, the kind of E form. And what we have is our first little phrase that goes like this. Yeah, really cool. So what I'm going to do, basically what I'm doing is like a hammer on from 7 to 9 on the D string. But there's a little percussive kind of before that, almost like these little rhythmical tee-ups. This is a little thing that continues throughout this kind of intro part, where you've got little kind of little 16th kind of noises. And what I'm doing is just basically doing it on the kind of D string there. So it sounds like that. Then what I do is play 7 and 9 on the G string, and you want to make them a little bit more kind of staccato, so you cut them a bit short, like that. So it kind of goes. Then I have a little bend, just a little half step bend, so it should sound like that. And that note you slide down to the 2nd fret and then kind of slide up again. So it's really just kind of sliding down there. Yeah, and you can slide up. Then we do that again. Sorry. So instead of doing going up to the G string after a hammer from 79 in the D string, I go, I pick at 9th fret, slide down to the 2nd fret of the D string and pick it again. Okay, so that kind of goes. And as usual, I have a little percussive bit before the hammer. Next bit sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is basically playing a B power chord, but on the D, G and B strings. So I'm at the 9th fret of the D string, the 11th fret of the G, with the 3rd finger, and then my 4th finger plays 12th fret of the B string. And again, I have a little percussive sound before that. Then I'm going to slide that shape down 2 frets, and then hit the strings again. So it kind of goes like this. Yeah, so you're going from a B power chord to an A power chord. Next bit sounds like this. So I've got a little percussive thing again, but it's kind of like the open E and A strings. As I said, you don't need to worry too much about the accuracy of that, as long as it helps with the groove of it, the kind of feeling of when the chord should come in. And it's an E power chord I'm playing there, so 7 in the A, 9 in the D, 9 in the G, but I also have the open E string there as well for a bit of added kind of bass. The next bit sounds like this. So what I'm playing here is just like the slash part did a D power chord to an A power chord. I'm kind of playing a D chord here actually, and an A power chord, but we're playing our D up at the 5th position here. So I'm on the 5th fret of the A string, 7 in the D, 7 in the G, and probably that's 7 on the B string there as well. So it's almost like a slightly fuller sounding chord, a major chord rather than just a power chord. And on the tab there I've put the fact that there's maybe just a little kind of open A string there, but really it's the transition to the A power chord. You sometimes hear that little sound there, but don't worry about it too much. An A power chord again, just batting at the 2nd fret, the D and the G strings with the open A string. And then we have this little bit, it goes really, really cool. Bluesy little lick here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm ascending up 2nd to 4th fret of the A string, 2nd to 4th fret of the D string, 2nd to 4th in the G string, then I go to the 3rd and the 5th of the B string. So that's that kind of bar, and they're all even 8ths here, so it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So once we've ascended, we've got our little hold bend, kind of country, kind of blues sounding like. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be bending at the 5th fret, about a half step bend. Now when I'm doing that bend, I'm supporting it with the 2nd and 1st fingers just to give it an extra bit of control. Plus it helps to hold it while I play this next note, which is 5th fret of the high E string with my 4th finger. So you want to hear it ringing out. And then I pick the note again, let the bend release, and then I end it with the 3rd fret of the D string there. So the whole thing kind of goes like this. Really, really cool, kind of almost like a kind of country style, like, you know. And then like a D pentatonic major thing there, okay? And once I've done that, of course, to lead into the main kind of verse riff, I've got to slide down the neck again, and it's really just up about kind of 12th fret area of the fingerboard. Doesn't really have to be too exact, as long as it leads nicely into kind of the riff. So Izzy's verse riff part, similar sort of chords to what's going on with Slash's part. He's obviously playing power chords here, but Izzy's basing it around an A power chord here, and then can play any kind of bluesy kind of sounding notes round about it. So the A power chord, you know, it's the 2nd fret D and the G string barred with the 1st finger and open A string. But what we're going to be doing for this first bar is it goes So what I've got here is a downstroke in this A power chord for like a beat. Then I've got 4/16ths, so it's going to sound like a da 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 da. But the first 2/16ths are hammer from the 3rd to 4th fret in the E string. Okay, so I use the 2nd and 3rd finger there because it keeps that 1st finger at the A power chord. So it's like an embellishment to your A power chord basically. Once you do the hammer, I'm going to do a down and up on the A power chord, and it may be because of the way the middle finger or 3rd finger is, the A string gets muted. So on the tab I've just got like 2 in the D and 2 in the G, but don't worry about it too much as long as the right hand's playing the rhythm. So that's what it should sound like. And then the next bit goes like this. Now the first note here, I'm playing 3rd fret of the E string again, but I'm playing it with an upstroke, but it's not a very precise like that. It's more as if you've dragged the pick back, you know, just to get the note. Really, it's almost as if you get a bit more of a strumming kind of sensation with this hand, so you're hitting some of the strings when you're moving about. So that's why I've notated in the tab this little kind of string noise. Like that. So it's almost got this sleazy kind of grind rhythm to it, you know. So that's what we do, an upstroke, you can drag it across the strings a little bit. And then after you've done that first 3 in the E string, I just do 3, 2, 0, all down strokes after that. So it kind of goes. Yeah. So that whole bar goes like this. Okay. And really what we do in the next couple of bars is really the same thing, it's just the first beat changes. Instead of doing, just playing the chord, we go. So we play the chord and then we mute the strings and do a down up. So your rhythm's like one of these gallop rhythms, it goes da 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 da. Yeah, so it goes. Yeah, so that's the only kind of difference. It's almost as if the first bar is that usual. You know, the first bar is almost like a statement of here's the beginning of the riff, so that's why you sustain the first chord just a little bit longer. And the last bar, when you know Slash is doing his little lick, what we do is we're going to play our A chord, A power chord with 2 downstrokes, and then I have this little percussive thing that's going to end with a 5th fret of the high E string. Yeah, it's kind of weird a little bit, but that's it really adds to the combined 2 guitar parts basically. So this kind of goes, and the way I kind of think about that is I do my 2 downstrokes in the A. That's my rhythm there. Ba, ba, da. So it's like a down. So I catch that 5 in the high E string, playing it with my pinky, but I catch it with an upstroke. And it sustains. And in the very end you've got the usual kind of percussive thing again. So in the tab I've got like a slide down from the 10 and then a little down up again. So those 4 bars of the riff, a little bit slower than actual tempo, sound like this. So there you go, hopefully that'll shed some light on how to play the intro riff to Welcome to the Jungle, both Slash and Izzy's parts. Slash's part, of course, is the kind of iconic, because that's the first guitar that you hear with the echo, but of course you don't need a delay to be able to play this. It's all about this upper pedal note, and it's like that riff itself is a great way of just working out and working on your downstrokes. Because you've got string skip in there as well, so you have to kind of watch your pick movements. But it's an iconic riff, and of course you guys voted for it, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. And for the next riff, I'll get another list together, but as usual, if there's any riff you want to see, put a comment below, and if there's any comments you already see there that you like, give them a thumbs up, so that way we'll try and get the most popular kind of riffs to the top of the list. But I'll knock up another list and I'll get you guys to vote for it again, and then we can get another riff sorted for Master That Riff number 90. Okay, so until then, have fun with that, and I shall see you hopefully soon.